Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon to the hip-hop world, the hip-hop nation, the hip-hop universe out there. We are interplanetary here at The Suite. And I am your host, Courtland W. Hankins III. And I'm here with a very, very special guest. A hip-hopper who was born and bred hip-hop. Yes. My man, HaStyle Rhymes. Yes. But you know how we do here at The Suite? We got to get sweet sounds circulating first, right? So I got a little treat for you. This is something I put together on my new MPC. Well, it's not so new, but it's new to me, the MPC Renaissance.
It's new to them out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Let's hear it. It's a sweet.
That's right.
Really sweet.
Woo! Sweet music.
Very unique.
Oh, please. Live, and you are live here in the South Bronx at The Suite with the president of hip hop, Courtland W. Hankins III, and my man HaStyle Rhymes in the house. What's up, brother?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Great to see you. It's a pleasure to have you here at The Suite with me and the audience out here. I'm gonna turn the sounds out a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe just a little low so we have a little backdrop of music. Right?
Back in the Bronx, yo.
Oh yeah.
Yes, straight from Queens. Man, I got a lot of roots in Queens, man. Definitely. So I'm glad you got me here to express
roots in the Bronx.
I got roots in Queens.
Roots in Queens,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but
gotcha.
I mean, hip hop has its roots in the Bronx.
Okay, gotcha.
But I travel here and there to just to get that word out. Like hip hop is still out there, and hip hop's still alive.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it? A lot of people are saying that hip hop. Nas said it a long time ago, but I talked to a lot of, and this is a little bit not how I wanted to start it, but since you started like with that, a lot of my peers complain about hip hop.
Really?
Where it is nowadays. And they just feel that hip hop just is kind of on the decline. How do you feel?
Oh man, hip hop. At one point, I did say that it was on a decline, like especially when Nas said it. Even before that, like to take it back to actually the 90s, me and my crew had a radio show. It was called The Graveyard Shift, and a lot of times, it was an underground show. We would, break out the music, but it was like, kind of a Stretch and Bobbito type of show that was like, come on, from 1 to 3.
Okay.
And we used to talk about how like, hip hop started to get lost. It's like in the mid 90s when, hip hop started to move down south, move, to the west. So bringing it back to right now, I think that, hip hop has its stages, and, it still lives and breathes in the places where, we look for it. But, as far as it being, portrayed in the media, portrayed in like, on the television, that's where, we're apparently looking at it as lost because we don't have, access to it the way we used to. It's not put on television in a positive way, a positive light, like the way it used to. So,
right.
In a way, it is lost as far as like the way it's advertised, the way it's put out there. Okay. But I mean, it is still out there. It's like hip hop will never die, man. I can't really say hip hop. We're talking about rap. Like rap has lost its way to a certain extent. Rap the way we remember it. Rap the way we used to hear it back in the days. Listen to lyrics. Listen to the beat. They told stories. They illustrated things that we couldn't really visually see or even paint. So nowadays, yes, it's gone trap. It's gone different ways. They don't really tell the stories. They don't give the knowledge out in hip hop rap music the way it used to. And that goes right back to your question. If you're not seeing that to a certain aspect, to us that are into lyrics and are intelligent, it is lost.
Okay. All right. And I kind of feel, and I don't like to talk too much on the show. I like to really give a platform to my guests. But I feel that hip hop has grown. We're grown. When hip hop first came out, we were tops. We were young. You know, I probably got you by a little bit, but I was a top, right? And
Yes.
you know, I went through all the eras of hip hop,
Yes.
but I have a different sensibility now as a grown person.
Mhm.
So you know, the youngsters coming up, like you said, it's still in existence,
Mhm.
right? The culture still in existence. Rap as a part of hip hop still in existence, and you know, youth have a way of kind of, you know, going their own way, and even being very just youthful, in a lot of ways. And I think there's a lot of responsibility and opportunity for those of us who, you know, have seen more years than a lot of the youth that are out here, at least in the mainstream rap arena, hip hop arena. You know, we still are here to kind of show them how hip hop can be produced, and hip hop can be portrayed exactly. You know, by grown people.
Right.
And we can continue to build a path that they can follow. So I think you know, it's important that we you know, we stay active within the culture and within the art form, and that's a reason why I want to have somebody like you, HaStyle, on the suite, right? Because I really believe artists such as yourself who are seasoned, who have done a whole lot, you know, have a whole lot to offer to the culture still to this day,
Right.
In a lot of ways, from your MC-ship, but also just as a man in the culture, right? So again, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So I want to ask you, let's bring it back to you know, your youthful days, right? What was the first hip hop record or song you remember hearing?
Man, that's a good question. The first hip hop song I remember hearing, you know, that's almost like a two-part question, because I remember the first actual hip hop song I heard was Rapper's Delight, and you know, I thought it was dope because, you know, hip hop came right after disco. So back in the days when I was coming up, my mom used to play a lot of disco in the basement, and then, you know, along with James Brown and all that stuff, and that's where hip hop got like a lot of its drum beats. So when I heard Rapper's Delight, it was like a commercial version of what I knew probably could be in the future, but I can't count that song because it didn't give me like any impact. You know, it was dope to dance to,
right?
But it was kind of sugar coated. So the first real song I heard that impacted me was The Message.
Gotcha.
When I heard The Message, you know, Grandmaster Flash,
Mm-hmm.
when the Furious Five, the whole picture was painted for me without having to even experience what he went through. Like, he painted a whole story of how the hood was, how the ghetto was. People were pissing in the corners, roaches, like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody ever really took it there for me until I heard that song. So when I heard that song, it's like I had to memorize it. You know what I mean? And I think when that came out,
shout out to Grandmaster Melly Mel.
Yes, exactly. Because
putting those lyrics.
If it wasn't
music,
if it wasn't for songs like that, I wouldn't probably be as lyrical as I am now. You know what I mean? And from the start. Okay, you know, I took it seriously, like, oh shoot, like he's really saying something, and we'll back that up right after that. Because I mean, it started there to where, like, okay, I heard a song. Because I was really into Michael Jackson, and you know what I mean. I was into, like, you know, Prince, stuff like that. Right. So when I heard
the popular music,
yeah. So when hip hop came, I was like,
DLS was rocking.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was like, okay, you got a bunch of people expressing themselves that don't necessarily have to be talented as far as singing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't sing, but I knew that I could write poetry. Right. So when I heard these songs, especially like The Message and Sucker MCs. Right. When I heard Sucker MCs, it's just like, okay, I want to do this.
That's it.
Yeah, I have to do this. You know?
Hottest Queens in the house.
It was like Hottest Queens.
I remember where I was.
Really?
When I first heard Sucker MCs drop. I was in my aunt's car on Junction Boulevard in Corona, Queens.
And that was in 83, 82, 83.
I was in the car, the backseat of the car.
I was like 9, 10 years old.
Okay, I was a little older. Right? And
He ain't gonna say his age.
13. I was 12, 13. All
See,
right?
you came up in the same era, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So
Hollis.
Look, that's
What did you hear? Was you in Hollis?
I was in Corona when I heard.
You was in Corona.
Right. That's how much it impacted me because I remember I was at my cousin's house. They lived in Corona, East Elmhurst. Yeah. And I just heard the radio dropped. It probably was Kiss, probably 98.7 Kiss. Dropped the beat, and I just froze. And it was like
when you hear that,
what?
2 years ago.
Oh man, that just friend of mine. I could just say the whole thing, but
that's one of the first rounds I ever really memorized.
Right. But that's how impactful that was. Super impactful song. But yeah, back to what you were saying. So the message and Sucker MC. So the message opened you up, and Sucker MCs just shut the door.
Yeah,
right? Locked you in, right?
I'm like, I'm not the same anymore. I wasn't the same, you know, as far as expressing yourself to like, you know, to a beat. And that's when I heard those type of songs. And back then, I didn't have any beat equipment. So, you know, I wanted to get into some production or writing rhymes. And I started writing rhymes and I wanted beats. And I didn't know any producers yet. Okay. So I started making they used to call it loop tapes. Right. And I would give my parents like, you know, 45s and stuff like that. And, you know, catch a beat break of like, you know, James Brown or like, you know, whatever jazz song, you know what I'm saying? Right. And loop it to the point where it's like, okay, I got a few bars now and I could like really write something to it.
You got your own beat. You got your
own beat. You know, I had like a little karaoke. So I would like, you know, pop the tape in, play the beat, record it.
You had the microphone.
Had a little like BS microphone. You
had the setup.
Had the setup before like I knew anybody with equipment.
You had a studio.
Yes, in the basement. Yes, making like stupid noise. Okay. You know what I mean? But it was crazy. I wanted to be a part of that because it seemed like such a strong movement. You know, and it was about a lot about positivity back then. I mean, they did paint the picture of negativity, right? But if you could remember, you know,
or reality,
reality painted, you know, right in front of you, especially when the video dropped. Because you know, like even bring it back to the Bronx, like you know, especially when I heard KRS-One, you know, he was breaking it down from an educational standpoint. He was making songs that were like super crazy popular in the neighborhood without videos. Right. You know what I mean? He didn't drop his first video until like The Bridge Is Over, and that wasn't really an official video. That was just basically a concert that they recorded,
right? Exactly.
And they put it out there. So
what was his first? Was it maybe his first official video? Because it had to be off the second album.
I think The Philosophy.
The Philosophy, all right.
Yeah,
Probably was
My Philosophy. And then back that up. You know, that was before self-destruction and that whole movement. So basically, like, you know, hip hop had that. Like, you know, that behind it, and mind you, hip hop is not new. Hip hop is, you know, comes from Africa. You know, the ancient, you know, ancestors are able to just tell a story to maybe a drum beat. Yep. But it might not even rhyme. But you know, they're kind of like rapping, they're spitting. Right. You know what I mean? Back in the 70s, there was a slang called, "Hey, let me rap with you, real quick." You know what I'm saying? And it paved the way for what we're doing now. Exactly. You know what I mean? For me to be in this interview in the Bronx.
You know, it's that has to always be recognized, right? Because hip hop didn't just appear out of the sky. There's roots to it.
No, it's roots
to
it.
You know, there's a long tradition within the black community, right? Here in America, Caribbean, the continent. Right, there's a long tradition of our culture that bore this beautiful culture and art form that we call hip hop, and that's something that we should never ever lose sight of, and never let anybody. It's our responsibility to make sure nobody loses sight of that, as far as I'm concerned. Tell me a little about where you grew up.
I grew up in Flushing, Queens, in the early '70s.
Royal Flush.
Royal Flush, Mike Geronimo, Neek the Exotic, you know, I shout them out, man. All of them, you know, Main Source, Beat Nuts, you know, Corona, Queens, Flushing, Queens. I came up in that area, and then back then I branched out because my parents are from Queensbridge. Okay. So I was always back and forth from Flushing to Queensbridge, back and forth. That's why I like.
Shout out to Queensbridge.
Shout out to Queensbridge. You know what I mean? Grandparents, you know, was out there and everything. It's like that's the reason why I wanted to shoot the recent video, Icy Hot, half in Queensbridge, because you know I have roots in Queensbridge. You know, shout out to Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? So growing up in those type of areas, I was exposed to a little bit of roughness. You know, and it was weird because I had like kind of had the best of both worlds because I did have two parents. You know, I was going to Catholic school when I was in Flushing because my parents wanted, you know, a better way for me.
Right.
But at the same time, I would spend all my summers with my grandmother in Queensbridge.
Right.
So, you know, I'm going to school like dressed up in a uniform, but then in the summers, I'm like thugged out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, and it's crazy because, you know, I was able to find a balance between that, you know what I mean? So that's how I was able to carry myself, and it gave me a little bit of edge even before high school.
Right.
And right before high school, I started listening to hip hop. Okay. So, you know, like you asked me like where I'm from, like that brings it back because, you know, me doing like, you know, me being from Queens, I looked up to Queens MCs. So, you know, growing up in Flushing, back and forth in Queensbridge, exposed to like, you know, MC Shan, you know, Cool G Rap, Roxanne Shante, you know, Master Ace, and Big Daddy Kane came along, you know, Biz Markie, you know, they had like their crew here in Queensbridge. Then you had your crews like you had Run DMC that was holding out Hollis. So, you know, all of that was within the whole circumference of what I was living.
Right.
Then you sprinkle in like when I'm going to my uncle's house, like, you know, my grandmother's house, I'm hanging with my uncle in his room. He got the big beat boombox in his room, and he's playing BLS. He's playing like, you know, like stuff I never really listen to when I'm at home. You know what I'm saying? Because my mother and father was more so strict. Okay. You know, they really like got into R&B, but they said that rap was a fad.
Right.
You know, my uncle was younger than my father, so I kind of like gravitated to him. He would always play the newest stuff that was out. Okay. So I heard like, you know, along with the message and all that, I heard like The Show. Right. And when I first heard like The Show, I was like, okay, this hip hop thing is creative. Right. Then I heard Lottie Dottie.
Right. Which is on the B side.
And I already started like, I already heard Sucker MC, so I'm already listening. I'm already like starting to write. But then I heard the simplicity of Lottie Dottie, where you could just rhyme off of a beatbox and still spit and still tell stories.
Still rock.
And still rock a crowd from a beatbox and an MC, that's it.
Crazy.
I was like, all right, man, it's a wrap.
Simple.
And I was in my early teens, like, you know, but I was always doing like more than just one thing. So that brings me to the question that you're gonna ask me pretty soon about, you know, cutting hair. Right. You know, like I started cutting hair.
Hold on, let me ask you. So tell me about.
Exactly.
Tell me about some of. I know you're a barber.
Yes, I'm a barber
right?
too. Yes.
Tell me about how you got into cutting hair.
I got into cutting hair from there was a point where my father used to cut my hair. Rest in peace to my father. Okay. He used to cut my hair. He used to cut my brothers. Yeah, I have two younger brothers. We shot to Kamal and Jamal. Those are my brothers. I used to cut their hair, and I started to get good at it. Like the thing about me, I'm an artist. So if you show me something a few times, or just maybe one time, I could pick it up and then own it. So eventually, I was able to own cutting their hair. I gave them designs and things like that. Because mind you, I'm an artist. I'm not gonna just cut the person's hair. I'm gonna try to like do a design, or you know, like back in the days they was getting Onyx signs, they was getting like Nike signs, you know, in the park, stuff like that. I wanted to be able to do that, but you could charge extra money. Right. So I mastered that. My father was like, you know, you should start cutting hair. You have a gift with it, and I didn't see it. Like your parents see things that you don't really see when you're young, and I didn't see it until I was like 17. I was like, I guess I'm pretty good at this. So when I was coming out of Jamaica High School in Queens, I started really getting into cutting hair. I really was, I kind of dove into all of that. I dove into hip hop. I dove into like, I made a name up because I was like, let me make a name up for myself to have an identity.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, HaStyle, because it took me a minute to even connect HaStyle to HaStyle. Right. H-O-S-T-I-L-E. Right. To HaStyle, which is...
It was the same pronunciation.
Right, same pronunciation. So it took me a minute. I'm a little slow sometimes.
Right. It's so good though. It's so good. You know, that's what
where did HaStyle come from?
HaStyle came from my original born name. My government name is Hassan. Right. And it's an Arabic name. So when I was growing up, mind you, I was going to Catholic school. Right. There wasn't a lot of Arabic names in Catholic school. When I went to St. Nicholas of Talentine, big shout out to St. Nicholas of Talentine in Flushing. There was a lot of Sams, there was a lot of Gregs, but there was no Hassan. So, you know, I was like, they would make fun of my name. First of all, you know what I mean? They didn't know how to pronounce it. So eventually, they gave me nicknames like hot sauce or like hot and pepper. You know what I mean? Like,
so
you know, and I'm like, damn, they chopping up my names.
Right?
So I started to get defensive, you know, and that was towards the end of my junior high school years going into high school. I started high school in 9th grade, 10th grade. It still kind of transcended into high school. I got rid of the uniform. Now I'm wearing regular clothes. I'm wearing hip hop clothes.
Right.
You know, like still chopping up my name a little bit, but it's like it was getting different. People was like, "Yo, Hassan, that's dope." You know, I might not be able to remember it, but I'm gonna just call you Haas for short.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of dope, Haas. All right." And then when Nas came out, I was like, "Oh, okay, people could do that. They could take names and chop them up. Nasir, Nas.
Right.
Hassan, Haas. Right. But eventually, Hez was like, "Yo, you need to create your own style when you're rapping." You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I kind of like Big Daddy Kane, so I kind of sounded like Big Daddy Kane for a second.
Right.
Then I sounded like Buckshot for a second. You know, I was like, let me just like make my own style, like HaStyle. It's Hassan style. It's my own style. You know, HaStyle. It sounds like hostile, but it's HaStyle. Right. You know, and then people started to like it, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna own this.
Right.
I do different things. You know, like you said, I am a cartoonist. I draw.
Right. That was the next thing.
You know, I'm a cartoonist and I'm a barber.
Multi-talented.
I'm a multi-talented.
You're an MC.
Yes, I'm an
right?
MC. Mm-hmm.
A barber.
A barber.
And also a cartoonist.
Yes.
And are your cartoons hip hop oriented?
Yes. Initially, before I started listening to hip hop, I was a cartoonist. Like me and my father used to watch cartoons all the time. It was entertainment for me as a young child. So at 4 or 5 years old, I'm watching Woody Woodpecker, you know, Popeye, and all that other good stuff, and trying to draw it. Like, oh, this is cool. Like, how do they do that? How do they make it move? And my father was like, yeah, you know, practice. Get it right. I started to get it right. You know, I started to make stories around them because I was always creative. And then lo and behold, he said, you know, you make up your own characters, you know, tell your own story with your comics because this is something that not a lot of people can do. Okay. So eventually, as I started to grow up, I made it more hip hop oriented, you know. And then when I started cutting hair, I made it barber oriented. Anything that I was doing at the time, I would like fit that within my content because if I'm living it, then I can draw it and talk about it. If I'm not, then I might have to do my research, but I could tell you firsthand what it's about through my comics. Right. So I could just paint the picture and instead of me just sitting there explaining for an hour, just read the comic. You know what I'm saying?
Hip hop is powerful because I make beats. And yes. You see all these records here, right?
You're multi-talented.
But I can't play an instrument at all, right? But in terms of, like you say, I just put everything in the pot, right? And I chop and sample and come up with a nice collage that just sounds banging, you know, and it is art, right? So in terms, like you say, you just kind of mesh these different talents together. Yes. But that's the essence of kind of, of hip hop, where we just take what's at our fingertips, right?
Anything accessible.
And then, exactly. Anything accessible.
Because, not to cut you off, man, what you're talking about reminds me of, like, thank God for Netflix. You know, there's so many documentaries on Netflix right now. Right. You know, that show you. It might not show you exactly, all the odds and ends of what hip hop went through, but just the whole revolution of hip hop, right, from the start to finish. They took nothing, and that's what our culture does. Right. We take nothing and turn it into something. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even with slavery, they was able to take food that was nothing, scraps, and turn it into something. It's a delicacy. Right. Something at least.
Even though nowadays, we know it may not be so good for us, but we made it tasty.
That's
right?
And that's what we did. That, right? That's what we did for hip hop. Like it brings it back to the Zulu Nation. Right. And how they broke down the 5 elements of hip hop. Right. You know what I mean? And what we're specifically talking about, yes, is DJing. So you have DJing, you have MCing, you know what I'm saying? You have b-boying, which is the dance art form of it, which is expression, and you got graffiti. right? Which is what I internalized, because
as a cartoonist, I'm sure that had to have a
it did. Like, I feel like I was born into hip hop because hip hop was kind of born when we was born, in the early 70s. So me being like an essence or a spirit of hip hop, that's why I want to be able to gravitate towards writing doper rhymes, coming up with better graffiti or better graphics, illustrating what I'm saying. Because lo and behold, the kids don't see how it was 25, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when all the streets were laced with graffiti, all the trains were laced with graffiti.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You've seen stories in front of you when you leave your house, like you're seeing a graffiti of somebody, b-boying next to the beatbox, and on the other side of the car, like a police is pointing their gun at that person. But you just see it in a second, and it's gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? These messages were out there. We no longer have that.
Right, those flashing images.
We don't have that. There's people that still do graffiti,
right?
Especially overseas, like UK and stuff like that. But here, in where it started, in the essence of hip hop, we don't have that. So we have to continually come up with artistic imagery, that paints hip hop in a positive light. You know what I'm saying?
And I think one of the things I think hip hop really affects the black youth, because we kind of live it. Others live it, but not as much as us. They're a little more entertained by it, but we kind of take it to heart. So what do you think a movement like that would do to the black community?
Specifically the black community?
Specifically the black community.
I think that it would have an impact as far as what we're missing, because we don't have a lot of individuals in the black community, especially in America, to really look up to the way we did, like I said, 30 years ago, or 40, 50, 60 years ago, when we had Malcolm X, when we had Martin Luther King. Like, we're coming up with these memes and quotes. Black History Month is coming up, Black History Month is here. We pull these quotes out the air, but like, who's really giving us like the word right now? Like, you have your Sharptons, you have your Creflo Dollars and your T.D. Jakes, but like, as far as hip hop is concerned,
right?
You did have you have Chuck D. We still have KRS-One, like, and all the others that speak on behalf of hip hop.
Right.
But if you initially start a movement, and along with that create music that steers the positivity back, along with, like, I guess, Heads with Common Sense, I think that it'll have a large impact, because these are the individuals that the youth are looking up to. These are their heroes. So if they see their heroes go in a certain direction, then they're gonna follow. Look at how many people follow LeBron James, or follow like Steph Curry, or Kyrie Irving. These sports phenomenons. Hip hop has it too. But like the ones that are really representing hip hop, that are making millions and millions of dollars, aren't steering the youth in the direction that we're talking about like right now. So yes, it will have a large impact, because you could be able to fit a face to all the words, to all the quotes that Maya Angelou came up with, all the quotes that the greats came up with, back in the days. You know what I mean? Marcus Garvey, all that stuff. But have them in the flesh, like right now.
Yeah, and I really think at the end of the day, that's hip hop's responsibility and hip hop's ultimate purpose.
Yeah, because hip hop is, like you talked about before. Rap is rap. Rap is the vocal portion of hip hop.
Right.
But hip hop is a culture. It's a movement. But hip hop is so big that it's kind of like a symbiote. You know what I mean? Like Venom. Like it attaches itself to everything. Yeah. Right. And it recreates whatever that is. Yeah. So hip hop is very powerful.
Spiritual.
It's spiritual. It transcends life.
Now you shouted out Slam Worldwide.
Yes.
Right? Talk to me about Slam Worldwide.
Okay. I'm signed to Slam Worldwide.
Okay.
Chuck D is the head of Slam Worldwide.
Okay. So it's Chuck D's label.
He's
Chuck D of Public Enemy.
Of Public Enemy, yes. Right. And Prophets of Rage. And the COO is Janole Mecca Holmes.
Okay.
And he directly contacts me about just about everything going on with Slam Worldwide.
Okay.
He noticed, like, okay, first of all, the A&R is Leah Henderson. Leah Henderson discovered me maybe 3 years ago. You know what I mean? When I was with in a group called Configure and HaStyle.
Okay.
Right, been shout to Configure. Configure signed to Slam Worldwide also. Slam Worldwide made an impact on my life because it started to steer my life in a direction and give me opportunities that, you know, I didn't have 2 years back, 3 years back, when I was first experiencing trying to expand hip hop overseas. Like, hip hop was already overseas, and I didn't know that until my first experience in maybe 2010, going overseas and opening up on a tour for J. Rue the Damager.
Okay.
So he was in Brussels, and
Come Clean, shout out to J. Rue.
Come Clean, shout out to J. Rue the Damager. Yes, he opened up for him, and it was a very dope experience because I grew up on J. Rue. I have a respect for him, and performing. And it's funny, that's not really my first experience with being overseas and doing like a you know, an MC thing.
Right.
Like my wife and I, big shout out to my wife, Yolanda YT Hunter Johnson. She has her own clothing line. We're gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
But we went overseas, and I was promoting music. You know, at the same time, it was a trip. But I had a bunch of CDs over me. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm coming from Queens, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
There was MCs over there that were spitting in their own language. I didn't know what they was talking about.
Okay.
But they were going in.
Flows?
So they had flow
Okay.
on any beat. I just didn't have a translator, so I'm like, this is dope. Like, hip hop is not just Queens, it's not just New York, it's not just USA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even bringing it back to Houdini, when Houdini came out, like, they were more popular overseas first,
Okay.
before being over here and taking off. So when I went overseas, I was like, oh, this is dope. So when I went back and I opened up for J. Rue, it was like a stamp on it, like, okay, this is really dope.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bringing in Slam Worldwide, you know, the word worldwide is in their last name. They're thinking worldwide. They're not thinking like USA. They're thinking like, you know, Africa.
Globally,
They're
right.
thinking globally. They're thinking like, you know, Scotland, Ireland, like Ghana. You know, they're doing big things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and along with being down with like an entity, not alone like a human being, Chuck D.
Right.
It's like, you know, it gave me like more of a breath of fresh air as far as doing this hip hop thing.
Right.
Because, you know, it has its up and downs. And I've experienced where, you know, there's parts of my life where it's like, you know, I'm not sure I want to do this. Because, you know, when I was in my 30s, going into my 40s, and I'm thinking like, you know, 10 years ahead, like, okay, when I'm 50,
Right.
will I still be doing this? Like, I want to be an MC,
Right.
but will I be still trying to perform in these little clubs, not getting paid for what I'm doing?
Right.
You know, co-writing for people that ain't paying me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to make tracks, this, that, and the other, keeping myself busy.
Yeah. How much time are you gonna?
Like,
put?
I have responsibilities. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Grown
don't have.
man.
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man. I'm a married man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to make life better for my wife, life better for me, and a whole life better for my family.
Right.
You know, I want to have the better things in life. Will hip hop give me this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So along with that, you know, Slam Worldwide, like I said, it gives me an opportunity to really, really do, you know, the things that I didn't have the capability or the, you know, the access to before.
Well, I saw you have a song out called Icy Hot.
Yes, Icy Hot.
And that's
Off the EP, Universal Fear. I'm wearing the shirt right now.
Okay, there it is.
Yes.
Universal
Fear.
Fear.
Mhm.
Okay.
Icy Hot.
Icy Hot. Dope video.
Thank
Dope
you.
concept. You
Thank
kind
you.
of brought it back.
Yes.
You had the LL Cool J Kango kind of,
Yes.
you know, style.
Let's
The
go
old,
for that.
You know, that Queens.
Absolutely.
Jamaica Queens style, and you were
Mhm.
representing all the queens in the video. You
Yes.
know, shout out to Derek Cross.
Derek Cross was in there. He did the beatbox. He did his thing.
But it was well done, dope
Co-directed
video.
by my wife.
Right,
And,
so
Slam
I'll
Worldwide.
definitely provide
Wow.
a link to the video.
Yes.
For those that watch can get to the video.
You'll
I'll
see the
also
video.
show some of your cartoons so they can get a
The
little,
illustrations.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little taste
Slam,
of your
Slam has
illustrations.
been testing my illustration
Oh, yeah?
capabilities too.
Okay,
You
excellent.
know, like they've been pushing me to the brink politically. So like I came up with a couple of controversial issues of comics. one of them was depicting when they were burning the Nike sneaker at one time. You know, it was a picture. Yes.
Reaction to Kaepernick.
Kaepernick, right?
Nike signing Kaepernick, was that it? Right.
Yes. Yes. So I drew a picture of some Klansmen burning a Nike sneaker, like a big gigantic Nike sneaker.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It drew some attention.
Right.
Then I drew a picture of Bush next to Kanye, saying Kanye don't care about black people. You know what I mean?
Okay, I gotta get that one.
I'll send you that one. We'll show that to you later on.
Yeah, I gotta read that.
And a couple of things, like, you know, I had LeBron palming, like, it looks like a basketball, but it's really Trump, because Trump is orange. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a few things. So like, you know, like I was doing comics before that, but Jano, big shout to him again. He was telling me, like, look, you know, you should just like make it more edgier. Don't be afraid. Because I was afraid at one point, you know, I didn't want any backlash. Like, you know, the internet is a wild thing. Right. I didn't want backlash, but
since you're more comedic in nature.
Right, I'm more comedic in nature. You know, I don't mean no harm. I'm just depicting what's going on in society. Right. You know.
And sometimes, you know, that's if you're able to do that and able to make that, you know, certain statements that can jar the thought and kind of represent maybe what we collectively feel as a culture, you know, then it's important to, you know, to tap into that. So shout out to what's his name?
Jano McCahon. A&R. He's a no, he's not the A&R. He's the COO of Slam. Right. And the A&R is Leah Henderson.
Well, it's good. That's an executive mind to kind of like be able to see, you know, kind of help you use your talents and steer it in ways that you may not, you know, necessarily have you know, thought about going.
Right, exactly. And I mean, mind you, like, if it was you and you was on a label, you know, and it was a positive label, you know, they want to make sure that you put out content that's positive, that's uplifting. You know what I mean? Even if it's revolutionary, there's a positive message behind it. Right. So they want to make sure that I put out the, you know, the substance that is uplifting, that could educate the youth, and at the same time, you know, show people that, you know, there's a better way. There's you don't have to come out with songs that have like a bunch of cursing in it. Right. You know, you can have songs that you could express certain things, but you don't have to say the curse word. You know what I mean? Those are like little things that, you know, they want to remind me of. So when I'm out in the public, when I'm doing these interviews, you know, I'm at my best. Right. You know, and we're sharpening each other's swords when it comes to that. So, you know, like I said, it's like martial arts, man. I come. This is the dojo right here. You know what I mean? And we kicking it on some, you know, some knowledge, and that's basically like how Slam Worldwide paints it.
So tell me, Haas, future HaStyle. Okay. What do you see as your future in hip hop or your goals in hip hop? Because I don't think you know, you'll ever stop being hip hop.
Sometime soon.
I don't even know if it's possible. You know, it's like you said, it's like venom, but in a positive way, where it just becomes, you know, a part of you, or brings out something that may just always just have been there. But anyway, tell me about HaStyle in 2030. You know, from now to 2030. 2030. Yeah, the next 12 years.
I'm telling you, man, there's so many things I want to do as far as like branching hip hop, like just kind of piggybacking on whatever hip hop has done for us already. Because I'm pretty sure in 2030, which is like 11 years from now, it's like I'm still going to be talking about like trying to educate the people that might not know how to do what I do. You know, you might not be an MC, you know, you might not be a cartoonist, you might not be a barber, but you know, I want to be able to show you how to do so, because I got the gift. If God gave me the gift, I gotta pass it on. No question. It's like if I don't pass it on, then I'm not fulfilling my calling here. Hip hop did a lot for me. You know, it's enabled me to travel. It's enabled it put money in my pocket. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like hip hop. I see it like as a dope female. You know, you have like a bond with that female, and you want to stick with that female. That female supports you. It puts money in your pocket. You want to put money in her pocket. Right. So hip hop, as far as that, you know, is concerned, I just want to, you know, do like bigger and better things, man. Even if I become a hip hop president like you one day, you know what I mean? You know? When you pass the torch one day, like, you know what I'm saying? About. I just want to be able to, like, you know, elevate things.
Easy. Now, talking about a dope woman, you mentioned your wife.
Yes.
And so she's creative
Yolanda.
as well?
Right. She's very, very, very creative. And like we even discussed like recently, like I try to mention her in every interview because, you know, she's very patient with this process. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, ultimately, like, you know, we can have a full-length conversation about relationships when it comes to hip-hop. They're not that strong. You know what I mean?
Pause on that, because I'd like to come back to that.
We can come back to that.
As another time, as a full topic.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's a great topic.
It's
a great topic. But anyway, so we'll table that for a whole nother show, right? But carry on.
How that coincides with my relationship, as far as like we've known each other before we've made this movement. You know, like in life, when you become an adult, when you decide on one thing and you move with it, that might be like that's something that you do for the rest of your life. And us two, we met each other before that movement was created, before I got as sharp as I am right now.
Right.
You know, and she's a part of that. She's been able to sharpen me. Like a woman always sharpens a man. You know what I mean? You know, so in that aspect, she's pushed me to the point where, you know, rhymes got better, because like I can't just say anything. I have respect for women in a whole. So you're not gonna hear, like I said, songs that are degrading women in my content.
Right.
So you know, she's very creative. She's a graphic artist. She works for AMFAR, the Foundation for AIDS Research. Okay. She's a graphic artist for them. They have a ton of events all throughout the year. She's an illustrator too. She does videos. She could create websites. She does a bunch of things. So like she's an entrepreneur in her own right. So that's how we mirror each other, because I'm an entrepreneur in my own right. So it's good that an entrepreneur is with an entrepreneur to understand the steps of the highs and lows when you don't have money, when you can't make meetings, when you make meetings with people and they don't show up, like when you have an art project and like they short you the money. You know what I mean? Certain things that she goes through that I can relate to. Right. You know, and vice versa. And she supports me on the shows if she can make it out and she's not too tired from work. You know, she supports me on the show. Sometimes she's on stage with me. Okay. You know what I mean? So, like, we marry each other, and that's another discussion, like we talk about as far as hip-hop is concerned. Right. Because you do have positive relationships within the genre, like, you know, like your
so this is different sort of love,
Remy Ma.
Different sort of love in hip-hop.
Hip-hop
Remy Ma and Papoose, you know, very
like, positive. Very positive, like, you know, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. Of course. Things like that. But, you know, you have your negative ones that don't last. So, we want to just continually shine things in a positive light, and you know, I always mention her because she's always like she's in a video, like she's in a Icy Hot video. Okay. I think we're doing a Kid and Play. Okay. You know what I mean? I remember that. Shout out to Kid and Play. Yep, exactly. You know, and like she co-directed the video as far as like I came up with the basic concept of like doing a throwback to MC Shan and to LL Cool J. Okay. You know what I mean? Right. And we started off in Queensbridge, like we said. That was MC Shan part. And we ended it off where the Rock is on Farmers Boulevard, where LL Cool J usually poses. He does all his poses. Right. Where that big rock is, that's red, black, and green. Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So she came up with more so the cinematography. Okay. Or the dancing, where people should be at. Okay. How it looks good on film.
Listen, man, that's what's up, though. To really have a relationship like that with your wife, who's really a part of the creative process.
Right.
You know, so shout out to being a.
So if you don't see her,
a grown ass.
It's a grown thing right here. It's grown, man, and it ties into hip hop.
Shout out to you.
It can happen, man. You know? It can happen if you're focused.
For being supportive.
It's good. You know? It's good to have somebody support.
Yes.
You know. Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
You know, it's funny you even say that because she kind of like Mary J. Blige. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She back in the day she used to do Mary J. Blige videos and act like Mary J. Blige.
Easy. There
so I guess I'm Method Man. You know what I mean?
You know,
we're on the rooftop.
H-O-D.
Exactly.
All right. Shout out to Wu. Exactly. Is there anything that you want to say to the hip hop universe out there, the hip hop world? Like, is there anything HaStyle just wants to just express to
anyone out there? Okay, I mean, shoot, to the universe, man. Like everyone in the hip hop world, man, we're gonna be here forever. Like just the way KRS once said, hip hop
be forever.
We will be here forever. It proved ultimately I like it because it proved my mother wrong.
Still here, moms.
It's still moms.
In a
still
soup
here.
with it, moms.
It's crazy, and I mean, I only use that because it's motivation.
Right.
Because she told me, like, in my face, she's like, this hip hop thing will not last. It's a fad. You need to think of other things that support your life because you're not gonna be able to eat off of it. Mm-hmm. That's why I went to the military. That's why I started cutting hair. That's why I was hustling, in a positive way.
Right.
But because I thought, I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen.
Right.
And the more I seen it evolve, from Big Daddy Kane to Tupac to Biggie Smalls to, on and on, mm-hmm. all the way up to now. Like, it's still inspirational. So to the hip hop world, I just want to continually say that, believe in it.
Yeah, it is. It won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
And big shout out to Easy Mo B too, because he dropped the Can't Stop, Won't Stop instrumental album a few years back. He's probably gonna come out with some new stuff, and he's down with Slam Worldwide too.
Oh, well,
and then
okay.
so the common saying is Can't Stop.
So and Easy Mo B just laced.
Oh man, Easy Mo B is
he laced Biggie and so many people from. He's actually one of the most one of the most slept on producers. In the game, because his discography is on the chain. Shout out to Easy Mo B. Mm-hmm. So, just in the wrap up, HaStyle man, I just want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
What do you think the president of hip hop should do with the platform?
The president of hip hop?
Yes. I need to hear from the people.
Okay, from the people. I feel like that's
the
crazy.
Person.
That's dope. I think that hip hop, as far as MCs are concerned, we need a retirement plan. That's what we need. Okay. We need benefits.
So we need some sort of social security.
It's some sort of social security, some sort of like something that we could rely on to take care of our families when the labels aren't taking care of our families. You know what I mean? Some type of ultimatum. Okay. Because, that's the struggle of MCs. Like, I know you said, like, what to do about hip-hop, but as far as hip-hop is MC. Like, so if we can start with that, then it'll trickle into the other elements of hip-hop.
Actors Guild, how they sort of have an organization.
Like the VA.
It's a net.
Like when we come out the military, like we shout out to the Air Force. When I came out the military, we do have the VA. We could turn to the VA for vets that have problems, getting homes, getting social security, getting looked at as far as doctors are concerned. You have post-traumatic stress. MCs have post-traumatic stress. You know what I mean?
System.
Yeah, we need some type of group therapy, like something like that. These groups break up. They can't perform overseas no more because they owe child support. Like there's a lot of things going on within like hip hop as far as these MCs that can't do what they want to do.
So that's culture right there.
Can we
maybe
get that
elevation of culture? We're gonna we'll
hip hop benefits.
I like that. I like that. That's something we'll have to really think about and devise a plan.
My vote.
And there it is. All right.
American flag right here and everything.
With the black stripe.
Yeah, with the flag. I like that.
What the black
stripe
represents.
You see the black stripe, right? What's it represent?
The black stripe represents. Actually, was my foray into hip hop, right? As a practitioner, and I started a little late, but as a black man whose roots go back centuries here in America, right, all the way back to Virginia, Nat Turner's area, and Ken. I always had an issue with. I couldn't hold my heart to the flag. I always felt the flag didn't represent me, right? But I had nothing else to put up, right? Because my roots are here, right? And the red, black, and green flag, of course, I shout that out, but that's more Pan-African. But in terms of my ethnicity as a African American, I was like, I can't even hold my own flag and feel like proud of it and represents me. So I put a black stripe on the flag to represent the blood, sweat, and tears and the sacrifice of my people. Right, and what they did to build and to bring this country to where it is in terms of its success, and we've been underrepresented. So whenever I have a flag, I black out one stripe, and I make sure that is a representation of our sacrifice. So that's what that's about. So anyway,
redo the flag now, man.
We
hip hop, the president of hip hop, like that's a deep statement right there.
Yeah, man. So we got a few things to work.
It's an Oval Office, y'all. Sweet in the Oval Office.
There it is. So HaStyle.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Definitely a pleasure, man.
Looking forward to coming back, man.
Definitely. Yes, because we're definitely going to talk about, and I need your insight on how we can talk about the relationships.
Yes.
With respect to hip hop and the challenges.
The challenges. That's stuff.
All right. So my man, HaStyle Rhymes.
HaStyle.
Okay.
Universal Fear out right now.
Universal Fear out.
EP. Man, look forward to that Icy Hot video.
Excellent. I'll drop all the links and all the information.
Thank you.
And I am Courtland W. Hankins III, the president of hip hop, and thank you for tuning into The Suite.
All right.
Yo, give them an example how it never works. I'm a prodigy causing havoc, I'm tragedy tragic. I was a savage listening to Marley and Mr. Magic. Way before I did the kid, playing Dallas as a maverick. I was full fabric. People cling to the static. HaStyle, black style, fully automatic. Rapid fire lines that be cracking your cabbage. Rappers need a lifeline. Copy my style, it's gonna take a lifetime. Holding up airplanes at the flight line. Connect the dot sign, dotted lines on contracts. See the money stacked with dollar signs. Check the rhyme revelation. It's a sign of the time. Spitting rap sign language or the rap Guggenheim. Press rewind if I'm blowing your mind. Rap problems blow you out one at a time. They define my style of rap, one of a kind. You wanna be worldwide but scared to come outside? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Alright. I think we was gonna leave you like that.
Salute.
Without a little.
The Sweet.
Exactly. You think we was gonna leave like that? We got HaStyle here, MC, cartoonist, master barber, hip hopper. We gonna drop a beat, one of them sweet beats, HaStyle.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let you just do your thing.
Do my thing? Okay. It's all good. Slam on the wire, Universal Fear.
Yeah. Yeah, how you doing? I got your Hankins.
The Suite with Courtland W. Hankins III, the president of hip hop. The Suite is directed and produced by Courtland W. Hankins III. Music by Smart Monkey Productions. The Suite is shot on location at Mantic International Studios, the South Bronx, USA. Hip hop we move with a divine energy, purposefully inspired to recreate balance, equity, and a more natural state of being.